Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Tuesday morning, progressives, and welcome to the April 8th, 2025 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278, Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and iHeart. Yes, that's where you can find us. Find me, email me at richard@wcpt820.com. Catch me on Substack. And catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views, short version and long version. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, the big picture with Edwin Eisendrath, and of course, Out Chicago and our other wonderful shows and interviews. Check out our heartlandsignal.com digital platform and make sure you are sharing the good stuff that's there. Also, I'll let you guys know a little bit of updates on today with live, local, and progressive with Joan. She'll be talking to Behnam Ben Tablu, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Jane Balinga, Executive Director, Chicago Women in Trades, along with Sabrina Tolukader, Senior Counsel at the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law. John Nichols, National Affairs Correspondent for The Nation, and Heartland Signal's own Rich Eberwine with 3 stories you may have missed from our digital newsroom. Live, local, and progressive today, 2 to 5. That's Joan Esposito. And then tonight, none other than Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by Wendell Robinson, Executive Director of Restore Justice Illinois, Dan Schaefer, editor of the Reconciliation Area with a Wisconsin update, and Michael Patrick Thornton, and Sid Blackwell of Obliteration, which runs April 10th through May 4th at Chicago's Revival Theater. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, 5 to 7 today and every day here on WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, and Facebook. And guess what? Here's a surprise I talked about. Tomorrow on the show, Michelle Peltier will be filling in for me. She'll be talking to Choose Views regular. Of course, that would be Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. And special guest Yolanda Androza, Executive Director of One Aim, Illinois. Michelle's going to be sitting in for me the next couple of days. I'll be out for a couple of days, but I'll be back next Monday, the 14th. And when I return, we'll be, of course, back on track with our interviews. But tomorrow, Michelle will be sitting in for me as well as Thursday and Friday. So make sure I'll be checking you guys. Make sure you're calling Michelle and saying, "Hey, girl, what's up? How you doing? We got you." Henry will be here to help with all that good stuff, but Michelle will be ready. She always is. She'll be excited, a little nervous as she shared with me, but Michelle always does a great job, as Devin can attest. And if you don't recognize the name, Michelle is one of our voices on the family meeting here on WCPT Sundays 4 to 6 p.m. So she'll be hanging with you guys the next couple of days. So give her and show her some love, because I'll be checking on you. If I have to test and say, "Did you call Michelle?" and say, "Hey, we love you, Michelle," while I was gone, and you didn't do that, I might be a little upset with you, listeners. So just letting you know. But that's what's happening, and wanted to give you guys that reminder. All right, here we are. Yesterday, we kind of definitely got some attention of folks, and our guest today, in terms of our guest yesterday, but our guest today will be one of the commissioners from Mayor Brandon Johnson's office that will be talking with us about what's happening with some of the contracting and building that's going on. That'll be Commissioner Cole Stallard in the 7 o'clock hour. So I'm looking forward to that chat this morning. The commissioner will talk a lot about what the mayor is doing in terms of streets and sanitation and other projects that are happening. So looking forward to that. And then in the 7:30 hour, we will have, another guest with us from the Healthy Illinois campaign, and that is none other than Edney Allemond, which will be with us at that in the 7:30 hour. So there you go. We got a busy morning. What else is new with Choose Views? Got a busy morning, bringing you guys the best that we've got. So looking forward to chatting with our two guests this morning. Yesterday, we, like I was saying a moment ago about our guest, we had some really great conversation and really great text from you guys. And I apologize if I didn't get a chance to reply to everybody, because we had a ton of text messages that came in during the second hour. So I'll do my best to get to those today if we can, but know that I'm seeing them from Allison and Lois and let's see, Jane, and the list goes on. So we'll try to do all that right now, because what do we have to do? We've got to get to Choose Views News to bring you guys up to speed on things that you may want to know a little bit about. And we'll start with the tariff turmoil. Stocks swing wildly. The turmoil in global markets continued through yesterday, and Wall Street's fear gauge rose to the highest level since the start of the pandemic as investors assess the latest headlines around tariffs. The Dow dropped 1,300 points at the open, and the S&P fell as much as 4%, which many people are saying is entering into bear market territory, before briefly rebounding amid the rumors of a potential tariff pause. Stocks sunk again after the White House declared the false story, and the president and Donald Trump, I should say, hate to call him president, threatened further tariffs on China. Investors wiped out $6.6 trillion from stocks from late last week. Spirit Airlines CEO is stepping down. Spirit Airlines CEO Ted Christie has resigned effective immediately. The company said yesterday. Christie, who helmed the budget carrier since 2019, will be replaced by a group of top executives until a replacement is found. Chief Commercial Officer Matt Klein is also out. The executive shakeup arrives as Spirit rebrands itself from budget to premium as a carrier. According to Reuters, the airline, which struggled to rebound from the pandemic, filed for Chapter 11 last year and emerged from bankruptcy in March. Oil falls amid the supply tariff fears. Oil remained lower on Monday after clawing back earlier losses that saw prices slip below $60 a barrel. The U.S. benchmark crude fell about 2%, extending its downward trend to 15% since April 2nd. Trump announced his plans on tariffs last week. Another key factor pressuring oil prices is Saudi Arabia-led OPEC+, which unexpectedly increased output last week, a move that boosts supply amid a potential drop in demand. We knew that was coming, so I don't know why people say it was unexpected. But Jamie Dimon wades into this conversation in terms of the tariffs. CEO of America's biggest bank warned that tariffs announced by Donald Trump will raise prices, not only on imported goods, but also on those made in the U.S. The J.P. Morgan chief added in his annual shareholder letter that the economy already begun weakening before the announcement last week. The remarks come as investors raise bets that the Federal Reserve could deliver an emergency interest rate cut as early as next week to prop up the economy. Others are chiming in. Bill Ackman saying that the trade regime is a mistake, call for a 90-day pause. Well, Bill, you were one of the people that was behind Trump before. And so, here you go. All right, consumers to lose $3.8 billion to tariffs. The average household will see its purchasing power decrease by $3,800 this year as a result of the tariffs, according to Yale's Budget Lab. And some of those tariff-induced price increases are already in the works at businesses large and small. Apple, for example, is expected to raise the starting price of its iPhone X, despite keeping it at $999 since 2017. Meanwhile, some of the merchants that account for up to 60% of items listed on Amazon are planning price hikes of 25%. Yesterday, I had a very good, cogent conversation with one of our guests, Mike Nellis, and we talked about what the Dems didn't do and don't do and so forth. What the Democratic candidate did do and did say repeatedly is that Christmas in 2025 could be a bear because prices for regular everyday items would soar with Donald Trump in office because of how he was going to handle these tariffs. So She spoke to and let me be honest, that had nothing to do with any particular demographic group. I said, speak to all. We have to include all in this conversation about getting additional people out to vote. And Vice President Harris made it very, very clear during the debate and other stops along the campaign trail that one of the things that was definitely going to happen with Donald Trump in the White House when it comes to the economy and inflation and the cost of goods is that they would go up. And now we see that the other experts, I wonder if those other experts agreed with her at the time. Sure they did, because they were reporting that would be the outcome. So here we are, guys. We are right where she said we would be. Now it's the 25%. If you guys, I'll read this again, guys. Meanwhile, some of the merchants that account for up to 60% of items listed on Amazon are planning price hikes of 25% or more. It's almost the parallel to what the tariffs are. So Vice President Harris and the Democratic Party told the country this would happen. The country denied and rebuffed her. And now we're in that stage where we said, pay attention to what she's telling you. Pay attention to what economists were saying a year ago, 6 months, 9 months ago, 6 months ago. So let's take a quick break, Devin. The number, of course, is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Good morning. You're waking up with Richard Chew.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We're live and ready to hear from you. Text or call us now at 773-763-9278. Same number. Simple as that. Let's get the conversation going on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Yesterday, not only did we not get to some of your text messages, which I apologize for, just trying to give you guys shout outs if nothing else, but we also were not able to grab some of your calls because we pushed it right to the end of the show with our guests. So if you had something that you wanted to say yesterday and we weren't able to get your call, give us a call this morning. I'll definitely be taking your calls up until the 7 o'clock hour. I promise you that. And try to get through as much as we can so we can handle your call. So my apologies from that yesterday. We were running hard and fast. So give us a dial today so we can chat about what was on your mind. And I know that we were talking about this ongoing conversation that, many folks are having that the Dems didn't deliver. And when I got some of the text messages yesterday were clearly in opposition to that the Dems did deliver. It's just that the factors that were out there that people were not willing to be honest about. And the number 1, 2, and 3 factors were gender, race, and Christian nationalism, and where that's leading us. So give us a shout this morning so we can talk about that which you didn't get a chance to talk about yesterday, and we'll take your calls. So markets versus the price of eggs. So many people are already saying the gains that they made in their financial portfolios of whatever configuration that may be, and the gains that the overall economy was tracking toward during a post-COVID, when we were starting to, we were coming back out, we were back working, part-time in offices and all the different things that were signs and representations that we were moving forward with regard to COVID. Vaccines were kicking in, people were feeling safer, all the rest. Essentially, to use a phrase, the world opened back up again. A lot of the gains that took place financially for the country and individuals and groups, by all measure, have been depleted, if not lost, since last Wednesday. So in 4 days, what took us, 3 years essentially to put back in place, and put back in place with some stability around it, was lost in 4 to 5 business trading days because of the idiot that is in the White House. So I'm going to go after a few things this morning. If you voted for, I've heard people say, and I touched on this yesterday and got a little distracted. people saying this is not what they voted for. No, that's a doggone lie. This is people who voted for Donald Trump. This is what you voted for. And you knew it, or if you didn't know it or didn't hear it, then you're stupid. And I know that people say, well, you can't be calling people stupid, Dems, because you got to, be nice to people and help them understand. No, I'm done with people, and I'll be done again, because it'll happen again, because somebody will say something stupid. With people going, I didn't know this was going to happen, Devin. I didn't know this was going to happen, dude. Either if you didn't know, then you're stupid, or you didn't pay attention out of willful ignorance, because you were told that this is what would happen. And you weren't just told by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, other leaders in the Democratic Party and established Democrats. Even Wall Street Democrats told you that this would happen. Everybody was told that this would take place. And I'm not just talking about what's happened with the financial markets in the last 4 days, but go back to January 22nd if you want to, have another date in the rearview mirror. It's been happening since this fool was inaugurated, was sworn in. And all of it. I'm talking about a man getting deported, and now they can't figure out what the hell's going on. You were told that this would happen when it comes to government agencies being slashed. And that's going to start. We haven't started to feel the impact of on local economies, to federal workers being slashed from their jobs. Because as we know, we talked about before, 83% of the people that work for the federal government don't work in Washington, D.C. So there are smaller communities, that have populations under 500,000 that have federal employees there. There are states that have employees where that's the largest employer. Those economies are going to start to be impacted. We haven't really started to feel that yet. But when you see businesses in your community that rely upon those federal employee dollars in terms of people spending their money at those respective stores and those restaurants and on, or when those potholes in your neighborhood are not getting fixed because the monies that pass through infrastructure don't come through, this is what you voted for. When I hear people say, this is not what I voted for, yes, it is. You voted for this because if you didn't vote for it, then you're stupid. You're a flat-out idiot, or you're willfully ignorant. These are heavy words, and I don't normally go in this space, but I'm going here today because I'm tired of hearing people whining about what the Dems didn't do. The Dems should have done more. They should have said this. They should have said that. And the reason I'm tired of that, and we can get into the conversation about the Electoral College and how jacked up that is, and it is. Let me be clear. It is. But when you have a community of people who are willfully being ignorant and walking around with their thumbs in their ears saying, no, I'm not listening to you, this is what you voted for. And so the gloves are off a little bit this morning, respectfully. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feeling. I'm trying to get your attention. Look at this like any good sports team any good sports movie you've watched where the team is losing and the coaches. I'll tell you a movie, and since we're doing movies this week, yesterday I talked about Harriet. Another movie to watch when it comes to you at some point you've just got to get in the backside of the people that are on your team. And I would say that we're on this team of progressive liberal Democrats. And yeah, I'm going to be your cheerleader. I'm going to be out in front. I'm going to take the whatever the hits are that I get for what we do with this show. At the same time, guys, as much as I talk about us coming together and working forward and being strong together, we have to be willing to call out what the other side did in terms of those who didn't vote with any kind of common sense. Okay? This is the movie that I'm talking about is Remember the Titans. It's a movie with Denzel Washington. It's a good movie about putting it all on the line. And I'm tying this intentionally to those who've been out protesting, people that are putting it on the line now. And should have been putting it on the line before, if you didn't, if you hadn't. But if you have, we understand and we got you. But I really, really want to be somewhat brazen about the fact that there are people running around saying what the Dems should have done and could have done differently. The people who chose to not hear the message that the Dems did put out and decided to not vote, or decided that because you didn't dig the fact that the Dems didn't have a primary after the shakeup that was, by many people's minds, of the wrong thing to do. Once it was determined, I want to know what changed. If you were going to vote for Joe Biden on April 7th, April 8th, 2024, I want to know what changed on between when he decided to step aside, however it came about. Dems that were stabbing him in the back, Hollywood actors and whatnots that were stabbing him, all the people that were. What I want to know is if you were down with the Democratic leadership and where we were headed and the strong economy that we had and all the great work that had been put in, and particularly with regard to how we were working to resolve some of the infrastructure issues. If you were down with Joe Biden on April 8th, 2024, I want to know, and the Biden administration, the one that Kamala Harris said that if Donald Trump is in the White House, he's going to wreak havoc on what we've done and what's good for our country. I want to know what happened between then and November 4th that you said I can't show up, or I'm going to vote for the guy that I didn't vote for last time because he caused me harm. I want to know if you voted for Trump in 2024, but you didn't vote for him in 2020. I want to know why you went back to the abuser. I just, you can tell me that the Dems didn't say, but and I'm no longer going to believe that, because it's utter BS. Because if the abuser, if you didn't vote for the abuser in the 2020 election and you voted for the guy and the gal, I'm being no disrespect to anybody, but to the man and the woman that said they were going to be here for you, they weren't going to tear the country down, they weren't going to cause havoc to our financial systems, they were going to keep our political country, our allies across the globe as close partners. We're going to stay in the programs that were good for our global health. I want to know what was it that was so sexy about the abuser that you didn't vote for him in 2020, but you went, yeah, but I'm going to vote for him in 2024. And I also want to know that if you didn't vote and you knew that not voting would be the same end result, meaning that the abuser that you didn't vote for in 2020 would be back in the White House, what the hell were you paying attention to, particularly if you were down with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on April 8th, 2024? Nothing really changed, guys. In fact, it was probably going to get better. It was probably going to get better. So, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll grab a couple calls. And we may even have a couple clips that you guys might want to hear. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. I said a moment ago, markets versus the price of eggs. Okay, market losses are there. People are concerned, as they should be, as we should be, about what's taking place in our financial markets. And to the point I was making about folks voted for this willfully or, with a certain amount of, ignorance, however you want to play it out. One thing that's gone down and the other thing that hasn't really significantly gone down. The markets have gone down, but versus the price of eggs, Devin, I haven't seen a real steep decline. Wow, how great would it be if we saw a 10% loss in the market collectively in the last 4 days of market evaluation? How about a 10% drop in the price of eggs? Hasn't happened. So there you go, America. The promise of reducing the price of eggs hasn't happened. Gas prices, relatively speaking to that number, the promise from Trump, I haven't seen a 10% drop in gas prices or a 10% drop in the price of eggs or a 10% drop in the collective pricing for mortgages and or rent. when it comes to housing, which Vice President Harris promised to work on. I haven't seen a reduction in that. I also haven't seen a 10% drop. I'm sorry, let me put this in reverse. What I have seen, though, is a more than 10% increase in the amount of golf that Donald Trump is playing. Okay? I haven't seen a 10% drop in the amount of, I just lost my train of thought. The cost of travel. I mean, the list goes on of the things that we're going to be, groceries. Nothing. However, our financial markets, and for many people, a tool that they use to predict how they're going to pay for those things at certain points in the future, has gone down. So their buying power in 4 days, 5 days, depending on how you measure it, or go back to the inauguration, buying power has gone down. And I have to tell you, Donald Trump was quoted, bless you. Donald Trump he sent a tweet out a few years ago that if the markets were to suffer 1,000-point loss in any given 2-day period of time, I think that's how the tweet read, and I'm giving you the edited version. He said that president should be impeached. So that means Donald should be gone. Let him go play golf. Let J.D. Vance go, do whatever he's going to do. We messed up, America, and we messed up because of willful ignorance. And it's because of a lot of factors, but the number one factors in my mind is the need for this country to say to itself that we have to be run by, a straight white male. That at the end of the day, let's rip the Band-Aid off. That's ultimately, because if it were about the price of eggs, then why aren't our eggs down? And it wasn't because we've had an immigration reality since this country started. So I'm tired of people going, it's because of the illegals. Really? Okay. It's because of transgender issues. I talked about this last week. To what percentile? We've had gay and lesbian and bi and trans people in this country forever. But I find it ironic that the people that are coming out, you hear these stories of the numbers of Republican men that get busted, and these Trump followers that get busted for trafficking and for assault and all these things, Devin, that they've been found to do. And many times these are men that are working in churches that are assaulting children. But yeah, we got an issue with the trans community. And we got an issue with who's indoctrinating young men and young girls, young boys and young girls. No, we have a racist, sexist, misogynistic, nationalistic country that can't get out of its own way in that space. And they'll do anything, destroy the financial strength of the country to make sure that a straight white dude is in the White House. That's really what happens. All the other things that are thrown on that are just flat out window dressing. They're distractions. And all this so-called, conversation around the Democratic elite. Well, like I said last week, the folks that were sitting on the dais, if you will, during the inauguration, I didn't see any black men or black women up there. I sure as hell didn't see any regular, quote unquote, middle class folks that were invited to that ceremony. So let's just be honest with ourselves, Americans. Stop lying to ourselves about this. All right, Devin, let's take a couple quick calls. Let's go to Rick. Rick in Florida, I believe it is. Hey, good morning, Rick. Welcome to Choose Views.
Hey, Richard. Good morning. This is Florida man Rick. A former Chicagoan, now on sabbatical down in Florida, and I miss you, Chicago. I would like to address, if I may, the Chicago audience, and please grab pencil and paper. I'm going to give you a little bit of info, but first this. We need to not only get involved more in politics. You're right, Richard. More people need to vote. We need to get involved. We need to protest. We need to start boycotting these countries. We got it. And I'm saying this to you, the Chicago public. But what about the time that we got it right? When we all got out there, we shouldn't have Donald Trump. And this is one of the mistakes that's being made by us. You asked what's going on, why are we making these mistakes as liberals, as progressives, as empaths? And one of the things we need to do is this, Chicago. We need to, because this is a big mistake that Richard's making. I feel that, and I'm not picking on you, Richard, it's the entire media. From Rachel Maddow to CNN, right on down the line to you. I've talked to Tom Hartman about this. He refuses to talk about this. So I'm appealing to the Chicago public. Get involved with WCPT because we need WCPT. We need Richard Shue to spread the proper narrative, and that's this. If you agree with me, Chicago, let Richard know so we get somebody to talk about this, and that's the Electoral College. One thing, and also corporations, but let's stick with the Electoral College. We got it together, and we could have had the first female president who won by an even bigger landslide than President Obama, a great president. And the Electoral College stole our freedom. And not one person, media influencer at WCPT, CNN, Rachel Maddow, as she giggle snorts through the news, want to talk about the Electoral College. If you agree with Florida Man Rick, please contact this station because it needs to be part of the narrative. And
so, Rick,
if you would allow me, Richard, I'd like to answer some of the other questions that you brought up this morning.
Well, there's a lot that I brought up, so I doubt that we have all the time in the world to do that. Let me address the first one. Let me do that in all due respect to your point.
And then let me rebut, please.
We'll see. Here's I'm going to just drill right into what you said about what we're missing in terms of the Electoral College. I don't disagree with you there. The Electoral College is a big part of this problem. I'm not shying away or running away from that. Let me be perfectly clear so we never have to have this conversation again. I fully disagree with the Electoral College. I absolutely have said that before here on this show and on the family meeting. And I will tell you across the board, there's a lot of people like me that disagree with the Electoral College because I know the history of the Electoral College. And so there's no need to rebut that. I agree with you that that is one of the biggest problems that we have in our election system on a national level. To change that, we have to change and control Congress. And for that to happen, because on a state level, just so you understand, people that are sort of trying to chime into this, the congressional elections are also impacted by gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is what drives the voters in different directions in terms of tallying as it relates to congressional districts. So if a state is heavily gerrymandered and there's also voter suppression in that state, electing the congressional folks that we need in a given state is impacted negatively, so we can't get the members of Congress, House and Senate, in place on a federal level so that we then can say, now we can work toward changing the Electoral College. So it starts in Congress, Rick. It starts in Congress. And since it starts in Congress, we have to be willing to force the hand of state election officials to make sure that states are not gerrymandered. Once we do that, then we have the numbers to change who's elected to Congress to then change the to work toward changing the Electoral College. I can't answer for any other person on the planet who speaks to this or doesn't speak to this, whether it be Tom Hartman, whether it be Rachel, whether it be anybody on CPT or any other broadcast, period. I'm telling you what I believe and what I know. So I don't know how much you can rebut to that, but that's where I stand in this space. But I appreciate you calling and letting us know how you feel in that area. And I'll keep working toward pushing what really has to happen to fix the Electoral College. So
give me 10 seconds, I'll rebut. 10 seconds, Richard. Okay, if you still have me on the air, that's not what I said. What I said was you're not talking about it enough. in my opinion.
Okay.
And if others agree with me, text in and tell Richard because like I said, please allow me to finish. Give me 10 seconds. Because I've been listening to the podcast, and you haven't brought it up in 2 weeks. The other thing is, people, go to the March 19th.
Rick, I got to stop you. I'm going to stop you there because you said 10 seconds, and you also said that you wanted to rebut about. This is what I want you to do. I'm going to play fair. I want you to email me what you're saying, and I'll make the commitment to talk about it, what you email me on the shows next week when I'm back. But in the meantime, don't tell me that I don't talk about it enough because you can't define what enough is. Is it every day? Is it every hour? I don't know. But what I talked about is a mechanism to fix it, not just talk about it. Let's talk about fixing it because that's how I roll. How can we fix it? What are the tools that we have to fix it? Not just talk about it. We got to fix it. That's where I stand. So you can rebut all day long, but at the end of the day, let's fix it with the tools that we have. If talking about it is one of those tools, I'm down with that. And I don't disagree with you. So there's not much to rebut there. So I appreciate the call, Rick. I'm going to bounce to another, but thank you for the call. All right. I hope you guys understood what I was trying to say in that space. The Electoral College is clearly a problem. Gosh darn it, I can't think. The popular vote is where we should be. How many people, if you ask yourself this question, do you understand the history of the Electoral College and how we got there? It is way outdated, and we should be way past it and not have it. And if I haven't done a good enough job to talk about it more readily, hey, listen, you guys know where I stand in that space. I'm always willing to raise my game when it comes to something, particularly if it comes from you guys pointing it out. And what's the fix? The fix is changing Congress. And anyone that understands how our Constitution is written, that's where we have to start. So we've got to change state elections so we then can change who gets elected to Congress, House and Senate. Okay? And the balance of how many representatives should be or senators should be in certain states. That's another part that has to be fixed. So I get what Rick is saying. Nobody think that I did not hear what he's saying. And please text me if you don't agree with what I'm saying. Or call. At the same time, what's going to be the fix? And the tools that we have in front of us are to make sure that we can address voter suppression in states where gerrymandering then supersedes regular voting. Until we fix that, we won't have the members in Congress, House and Senate, that will then allow us to change what's in the Constitution. So we got to do a little bit of homework there before we just go after a topic. And then what are we going to do to fix it? So I hope I've been somewhat clear. If I haven't, hit me with a text or give me a call and we'll try to work through it. But for now, we have to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Thanks for being with us. Okay, let's grab a couple quick calls, as I promised we would. Let's go to Mary and Carol Stream. Good morning, Mary. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning. This is Mary, the 715th truck driver. How you been?
I've been great. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Just out here on the byways, headed to DeKalb Walmart, deliver batteries. I wanted to talk about the eggs and the grocery prices. When the Tangerine Tyrant was elected, everything at Jewel went up. And I'm like, oh, because the 1 week food prices, all of a sudden, they were this week's sale prices, and they were regular prices the week before. And then ice cream, ice cream is not, you can't even get a half gallon of ice cream no more. It's iced milk, and it's 1.5 quarts. I'm like, oh my God, $7.99? And I'm like, prepay on tariffs, and some old lady goes, no, it's not. I go, I guess everybody wanted their orange fewer. I also call them that on social media. But I've been paying $12.50 a dozen for eggs for over a year and a half now. We have our eggs delivered to our house, 4 dozens at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And we get them from a place in Indiana. So when people talk about egg prices, my husband and I laugh because it doesn't. But our eggs are only 3 days old. From the time we order them to the time they come to the house, are 3 days old. But see, people don't realize the eggs they buy from the store are probably most likely 6 weeks old. Our eggs are super fresh.
Right. Well,
but like I said, go ahead, sir.
No, Mary, first of all, thanks for your call and be safe on the roadways as always. But, listen, I love the characterizations that you have come up with for Donald Trump. At the end of the day or at the beginning of the day or somewhere in the middle, the price of the things that people said they were voting for in terms of Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris have not come to fruition. The price is going down. Buying power has. He said the opposite would happen, that prices would go down and that you're going to be flush and things are going to be great and you're going to have this and have that and the other. And it hasn't happened. And so our previous caller, to his credit, pointed out that our electoral college is part of the problem as it relates to actual literal voting. And that I don't disagree with. But at the same time, a lot of people were willfully ignorant in how they voted. And they believed in what this dude was saying. And they went back to the abuser. There's a lot of people, because the Electoral College is the mechanism that took place. And that's faulty. It's wrong. It needs to be, we need to get rid of it. But that doesn't change the fact that there's still people out there who their decisions, they weren't sitting there going, well, the Electoral College is going to be the reason that I vote the way that I do. I'm voting the way that I do because I want this. And a lot of people said they wanted the price of eggs to be, or gas to be, or the list goes on, lower, as we all want. And he said he was going to do it on day one, and it didn't happen. And in the inverse relationship is that the buying power to afford whatever the price of eggs and gas are has actually gone down. So he lied, irrespective of any other factor. And to your point, they needed to be in bed with the Orange Menace, and now they are. So Mary, I appreciate you highlighting some of the things that you've seen in terms of your direct expenses and direct costs. But that's important to know.
Well, I make $31 an hour, and a lot of my paycheck goes for groceries because we go to Costco and stuff. And the prices are starting to drop a little bit at Costco, but at Jewel Asco and Carroll Stream, OMG. It is. I'm pricing that stuff, and I used to drive a truck for Jewel too. But it's like, wait a minute, the sale price. It's $5.49 for a thing of muffins, English muffins. But you got to do the buy one get one free in order to actually, buy in bulk. But it's 1 pound of meat is this, and then the next week is that, and you just look at the price tags.
Yeah.
Lettuce was 99 cents. Now it's $1.99 for a head of lettuce.
No, there's no arguing that the price of things. Listen, the price of things were on the incline, or the increase rather, during Donald Trump's first administration, the second part of it, and a lot of that was driven by the last year with regard to COVID. But at the same time, Mary, I'm not gonna. Listen, if things are going to be more expensive or they're going to be flat or less, I still want my buying power to be on the rise. So the most destructive,
absolutely, you can't.
Right. So if and I talk about this oftentimes when people talk about the cost of things. Well, listen, pay Mary $62 an hour, double your compensation, rather than leaving it to the fat cats. That's how I look at it. Increase what Mary gets paid, and then proportionately, you're less concerned about the percentage of what you earn going to necessities. You've got room for savings. You've got room for investments. You've got room for vacations. Increase wages, companies, and let's get past this conversation about everything's too damn high.
Well, it's not so much like when he won in 2016. The first thing he said on his campaign was, "Once I'm elected, I'll have more jobs." Well, he got elected. Where were the jobs at? He liked them too.
Well, that's what I keep saying about people went back to the abuser.
Yeah.
It just did. They went back to the abuser.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Mary, drive carefully. We got to bounce. It's good to hear
Thank
your
you.
voice, and I'm glad you're well.
Bye.
Stay in the fight. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good old Mary. She's out there making it happen. I mean, pay Mary $62 an hour rather than $31 an hour. That'll solve her problems overnight. Or pay her 50% more. Pay her, in the mid-40s, $50 an hour. That's when, we talk about these big, overly inflated compensation packages of executives of various companies throughout the country. That's the problem when it comes to the cost of things. How much does compensation to a executive of a food distribution company inflate the cost of the goods that they sell? How about let's have an economics conversation about that. And pay Mary more. Mary's got extra money, Devin. She's now going to be still concerned about the cost of goods and her expenses. But if she's making more, she can then see, okay, I can save a little bit more of that. I can invest some of that. I can take that extra vacation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. CEOs are taking every damn vacation they want to take. And I said I was going to be calm today before I leave, but that ain't happening. Let's go to George in Oak Park, Devin. Hey, George, good morning and welcome to Choose Views.
Yeah, good morning, Richard. You know that yesterday I was watching online, there was a recording of a town hall meeting with Congressman Seth Magaziner, who represents, I think, the 2nd Congressional District in the state of Rhode Island. And he was questioned by a young woman who identified herself as an independent voter. And she wanted to know about her Second Amendment rights and also about how Donald Trump should get more respect. And I'm listening to this, and she was fairly indignant about it. Well, Seth, he explained himself that he wants to uphold the Second Amendment rights. He represents a congressional district that is represented fairly equally by both parties, and that he himself has to work across the aisle, and he does. But he does believe in the restraints on gun ownership. And he did not really answer the concern that his constituent had about Trump should be getting more respect. Well, let me answer that for him on his behalf. Donald Trump deserves respect, right? Even though he caused the J6 riots, resulting in death to police officers, to some rioters, and to the Capitol. The Capitol was besmirched. Representatives in the Capitol were threatened with their lives. And she thinks that he deserves respect.
Yeah.
That he contributed to the COVID-19 pandemic by closing up some health agency and then trying to sweep that virus under the rug. And she thinks that he deserves respect. He got bailed out. He got some top-notch medical treatment. And I remember him saying afterwards, well, I'm going to get this for everybody. Well, did that happen? No. Does she think that he deserves respect for that? I don't think so. And you know what, Richard? It just goes on and on. How he just has a disrespect for each and every person. He wouldn't give a damn about that young woman or her family. He wouldn't care a bit. He'd probably just smack her down. So, Richard, I mean, there's more, but that's just a brief reminder. No, Trump needs to be out of there, and that young woman needs to think hard about this, as well as everybody else that voted for him.
Yeah, George.
He doesn't deserve respect.
The respect is a two-way street. So, I mean, that's how I'll capsulize that. George, thank you for your call and your contribution this morning. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and we will talk soon. Take care.
Okay, Richard.
All right.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye now. All right, guys, we're going to hit a quick break, and when we come back, we will be talking with some folks from the mayor's office and the good work that they're doing there. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to the second hour of Choose Views. Of course, our number here is 773-763-9278. That's also how you can text us. And shout out to those of you who've been hitting me with the text this morning, Lois, JD, and, a few others. So thank you for keeping us on our toes there and making sure we're paying attention. Before we went to break, I had a quick comment about respect for Donald Trump. And you get what you give in that space. And that's how I'll say. I have so much more to say about that. And you guys are sending me different comments regarding it. But you get what you give. And he doesn't respect the office. So the respect that people are saying, or that this person was saying, according to what George, our caller, pointed out, I'm not down with that just yet. And I don't think it'll happen because until he changes his ways, we got to respond accordingly. I think that's more than appropriate. So last week we had Mayor Brandon Johnson on Friday, which is, Fridays with the mayor once a month, which is kind of a great opportunity for us to get an update on what's happening, try to push him a little bit, make sure that he's aware that we're paying attention. And I can always do a better job of that in terms of, as I say, criticizing and complimenting the mayor in his plight to succeed in improving our city. One of the things that the mayor has really been leaning into, and I've been saying this for a long, long time, if people have something to do, particularly young folks have something to do, they're not going to be out there snatching purses and, acting in ways that are rebellious necessarily. If they've got something to do that's constructive, they're probably going to be doing that rather than the thing that's the opposite. That's my observation. I'm not trying to be 100% right there, but I know that opportunities for our youth always provide our youth with better outcome. That's it's common sense as much as anything else. And with us this morning is one of the leaders in that space right now, and I'd like to welcome to the show Commissioner of the Department of Streets and Sanitation, Cole Stallard. Good morning, Commissioner. Welcome to Choose Views.
Hey, good morning to you, and thanks for having me. And you put a little pressure on me following the mayor from Friday, so I listened to that show, and it was great. So I'm feeling the pressure there. How are you? I'm
good. Well, listen, let me extend a hand of you can take some of that pressure off of you because what you're doing is great work for the city of Chicago. So you should be happy and excited about some of the accomplishments that you guys have had. I'm known for saying I'm going to criticize and compliment at the same time because I want our city to succeed. I want our city officials elected and appointed to succeed because as we succeed, as you guys succeed, I should say we all do. I know it's not perfect. I know you guys make some missteps. I do my best to try to respond to those and in a way that says, okay, how do we go forward? How do we make things better? So no pressure for you. Just keep working hard and doing what you're doing. So, Commissioner, take a moment, as I'd like to do with all of our guests that are new to the show, and tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about your department and the work that you're doing. And then we'll get into some of the specifics of what you guys have going on with this upcoming spring and summer season.
Again, thanks for having me. Thanks for helping us get our message out. It's platforms like this that I get to speak on and speak in front of and just help us get our message out. Because if we can't tell our story, people don't know the work that goes into running a department or a city like this. There's many infrastructure departments that we have that keep this city going. As you mentioned, I started out with the city over 25, going on 25 years. I started out as a laborer. So I started out as a laborer in the city. I was doing sewer work, and then I went on to CDOT, did some curb work, and then I got an opportunity in streets and sanitation to continue working my career. And as you mentioned earlier, I was one of those kids at 18 that didn't want to go to college. Been working since I was 9 years old. So I just, my father's line of how to make money is go work more. That was my dad's financial advisor. 6 year financial advisor too. Pretty impressive. But that was my dad's advice. You want to work, go work more hours, go figure it out. And that's something I always did. But as you mentioned, this mayor has tasked us with making things better for the youth, because I'm a believer in, you give these youth something to do, that you will definitely get a good product and a good value for them respecting what they're doing. And this labor training program, which I know we'll get into a little bit, is near and dear to the mayor, near and dear to a whole lot of people in this city. And it was great work that Mayor Johnson let us push this forward with CPS.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you for that, Commissioner. And I love what you said. Your pop said, if you want to make more money, go put some more hours in. And let's be honest, that's a big part of how our country, from a labor standpoint, has viewed itself. And there's nothing wrong or more right about that. That has been a part of who our society, where our society has come from. And we've seen some evolution in that space. But at the end of the day, we know that's something that's near and dear to many of us, is that we were the mindset that says, if I put in more time, I'm going to get back a bigger return. So thank you for pointing out that is a big part of how we viewed ourselves. As it relates to us going forward, I've said this for years. If young folks have something to do, they're not snatching purses from grandma, and they're not doing the things that would be counterproductive. And I don't mean to oversimplify that for anybody that's heard me say that statement today and before. But the mayor, your department, Commissioner, are about to kick off the construction season and this event and the work that you're going to be doing to make sure that folks in general, but young folks in particular, have activities, have something to do that is construction, that is constructive. So talk a little bit about that and explain a little bit about the program and what the objectives are of the program.
Yeah. Well, they say there's two seasons in Chicago, snow season and construction. So we've had a good last 3 years of snow season. I'd like to maybe say Mayor Johnson brought us easy snow season, but I've had three. I've been dealing with snow for a long time. These have been three of the easiest. So we're right into construction season. We had some snow. Hopefully that snow's behind us yesterday, and we're kicking off construction season today with many of our infrastructure and other leadership from our other sister agencies. We're all coming together with Alderman Hall in the 6th Ward today. That's where we're going to be standing up, and we're just going to help get that message out to our residents of all the upcoming activities in their neighborhoods. As this weather warms up, we want to celebrate the construction season along with the men and women that do this job. The job is not easy. The job brings great reward to it, but we want to celebrate people that do this job every day. These are good union jobs, and I just say that to say, with the CPS students, last year was our first rollout, and we had 70 kids sign up for the program. And it was 70 young folks that signed up. Of the 70, 55 had an opportunity after completing a 12-week training program with us that came on and had full-time jobs with the department. The others went on to other things, i.e. college, junior college, or went into other trades. So there's a great need for these, because I say that to say there was 70 last year that put in for that opportunity. we were able to accommodate all 70 of those. This year, we're over 200.
Wow.
So the mayor, myself, other city leaders, other sister agency leaders, CPS did a fabulous job. Hats off to Megan Dugart and her team over at CPS that put together these opportunities for these young folks, where we were at LiUNA 1001 Union Hall. We were at 360. We were at the Carpenters Union. We were at another place. And there was 500 to 700 young folks walking around. And then there was vendors set up. All different unions were set up at tables. And it was like, this is what this city needs. This is what this country needs, is to be able to look at all these opportunities and have these unions be able to showcase what they actually do, so these kids see that there's pride and there's need for them to be in these fields, because we saw the need. I know the need personally. It was a great program, and these kids, these young folks, I call them kids, but these young folks had this opportunity to see these things and really get a hands-on experience. So it was a great thing, and this is a call out to the other union out there that, hey, we got a whole bunch of young folks that are looking for these type of opportunities.
Man, I can't even tell you the promise and this provides to the city, to the area, and why that's so important. Talk a little bit about the One Summer Chicago program.
It's another great program that this mayor continues to build on. He's up to 29,000 opportunities. And we play a part in it. We partner up with our friends over at CDOT, that's Transportation, and we would grab young folks. We would grab young folks, and CDOT would grab young folks. It's a 6-week program, and we would have them on boulevards, mulching trees, picking up litter, and CDOT would have them cleaning viaducts and painting viaducts. And those are all trade jobs that I'm talking about. So what we do is, it's not just, hey, we want you to pick up this litter. Hey, we want you to mulch around these trees. We're trying to teach them the importance of mulching. We're trying to teach them the importance of, not littering and keeping our city clean. We're talking about painting viaducts, another union job. And these are good paying jobs. And what we do then is, after 3 weeks, then we switch. We switch the young folks, and then the half that was doing the boulevards go to the viaducts, and the half that were doing the viaducts to the boulevard. I say that to say, through the pandemic, we weren't able to do that because of restrictions we had. But afterwards, I tell people, not everybody's meant to be behind a computer. Not everybody's meant to sit in an office. There's plenty of opportunity out here. And every time the news media calls up, I say, they're not calling me to say, hey, can we see a kid banging on a computer sitting in a cube? They say, can we see them painting? Can we see them mulching trees? And what we do is we bring the equipment out, too. Mm-hmm. We bring out heavy equipment. We bring out a front-end loader. We bring out a cherry picker to show them trimming trees. And just let them touch it. We do touch-a-truck events, too, for the young folks, for the young kids, just to get our message out about keeping our city safe and clean.
Man, I that's just got to be make you smile to see young folks coming out like that, and nothing against young folks who do have the skill set and the desire to sit at a keyboard and do some great things on a computer, but to have alongside of that, or in addition to that, young folks who want to get out and want to be able to touch a truck, touch your vehicle, see how it works, and what it does to improve our community, is got to put a big smile on your face and kind of help you stick your chest out to know that you come from that labor mindset, and to put children, young folk, in a position where they can see the value of both. Part of the day they're sitting behind at a keyboard, and the other part of the day they're out there, slinging a hammer or mulching trees or anything that's going to help improve, as I see it, our environment. So that's got to be a neat connection for you to watch that.
Oh, trust me, I am not minimizing anyone that's sitting behind a computer. When I tell you, we hand these young folks stuff and go, here, can you do some data entry for us? and we're expecting, we kept them busy for about 3 days. They're coming back 2 hours later and go, you got any more? So especially, it's not to minimize it. It's just for me to highlight that I was an outside person. I was an outside cat. You know, I wanted to be outside. I wasn't an inside cat. I was an outside cat. But believe me, my hat's off to those people sitting behind those keyboards, because that's not one of my strengths. But again, I can't mention it enough with this labor training program, the work and the effort that went into this. This was a vision that we've had for years and years and years. The mayor brought it to light with us, and my hat's off to Liuna for stepping up, to train these folks. They have an unbelievable training center in the city of Chicago, working with 1001, working with the law department, working with DHR to really make this happen. It was, you see the pride that these young folks have. You know, we had a panel. We did a panel and brought up some kids young folks that went through this and were speaking to the seniors. And to sit there and watch them say, you got to be on time. This isn't school. You got to be on time. Part of the job is you got to get there early. You got to be ready to work. It was really uplifting to see, even being out of school less than a half a year, them trying to give back. You know, they were already trying to give back, and that's how impactful I see this has been.
Well, it's got to also be a little bit contagious in a good way. Last week we heard former Vice President Harris talk about fear is contagious, but courage is also contagious. But the reason I'm melding this together is the energy from those young folks who are out there doing work and part of the programs and with their colleagues, their other, young folk partners. It's got to be a certain amount of contagiousness that goes on when your 16-year-old friend from the neighborhood, both of you are walking toward or heading toward this summer program. There's got to be a certain amount of push and excitement for them to show up on time, to be a part of the process, and to be doing something together that they can go, hey, we got to get there on time. We got to do this the right way. We got to talk to, Commissioner Stallard about how to get this done. There's some contagiousness to that as well that you must see.
When I tell you, we give these young folks like today at this press event, we're going to give a young person an opportunity to be introducing the mayor. Now, to get that opportunity as a young person, to be sitting there amongst city leaders, to be sitting amongst their peers, to be sitting amongst all these unions, and to be able to introduce the mayor of the city of Chicago, they'll remember that forever. And we were at a school probably about 3 weeks ago, and we gave a young person that went through this opportunity. We gave him an opportunity to speak and talk to, his fellow students, next group up. And he literally said, hey, I started where you were at. I'm a laborer. And who knows, maybe one day, and he literally looked at me and said, maybe one day I'll be the commissioner of the department. And it was just the timing of this act was priceless, where I wanted to say, hey, I was you. I was you. I was 18. I wanted to work. I was a laborer with the city. Through good fortune and hard work and great people around me, I was given this opportunity to run, 2,300 employees. And, it is going to be you one day, so it's really meaningful and impactful.
Well, Commissioner, I really appreciate you taking some time this morning. We will definitely have you back because this is an ongoing effort, and it's going to be, as I said to the mayor, made the statement. I also asked a question. I see this as also a safety issue, and why I say that is it's about keeping our children safe, but it's also about keeping our community safe. And if those two things are happening, then our city is going to become a safer place for everyone. And I said to him, how are you navigating? How is your administration? Eyes open, knowing that we're facing the spring and summer and all the things that can come with that. How are you prepared for that? And this program is definitely one of the tools that you guys have, no pun intended, in the toolbox to help make sure that our children are safe and that they have something to do and that they're going forward. So I applaud you for being a leader in that space. How can folks, find you, reach out to you, say, hey, here's some kudos for the work you're doing, or even themselves kind of indirectly get involved to further these programs?
Yeah. Well, we got April 1st, we kicked off our street sweeping season. So I just want to make people aware of those orange signs. This is, you see those orange signs out there, the no parking signs. Please be mindful of those. We started that April 1st. They can visit our website at chicago.gov/street sweeping 2025 for the schedule, or they can call 311, of course. Also, if I can, I'd like to bring up this Saturday. It's the cleanliness is next to godliness. We got our clean and green, April 12th, this Saturday. So we'll be out in the community citywide, getting a kickstart and a head start. And, I always say coming out of snow season, this is the dirtiest the city is. It is.
It's a reality, yeah.
It's all hands on deck. We got 2.7 million people that live here. We got, 800,000 that come here probably plus for work every day. That's a lot of people, and that can generate a lot of litter. So we just ask people not to litter, and we ask people to, keep their garbage until they find a receptacle to put it in. And you can help us out with Clean and Green this Saturday and help your community. It's a great event. You can look at our website too. Our social media, Chicago Department of Streets and Sanitation, to visit us, and we give these kind of updates. We give the April 1st is our kickoff for street sweeping. We'll give our Clean and Green.
Got it.
We'll tell you when we think it's gonna snow, and our plows will be out there. But again, I can't thank you enough for giving us this opportunity to talk on this platform. I think I got some cred with my college clutch-age students.
And here's the thing, Commissioner. You held your own this morning, so you said you were a little bit nervous, but I think you did a pretty good job. So we greatly appreciate you taking time to be with us, and more importantly, we appreciate the work that you, as a commissioner, with the city of Chicago are doing, and we want to continue to further supporting you. So keep up the good work. We'll have you back once we get kind of deeper into the spring and summer to talk about how the programs are going along. Does that sound okay?
Hey, sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Cole Stoddard, for being with us this morning. Have a great day. We'll talk with you soon.
You as well.
All right, bye now. Listen, guys, anywhere in the country, when our youth has something to do, they're going to do better. They're going to be safer. Our communities are going to be safer, and the list goes on. It doesn't matter where in the country. This is not, yes, we're talking about what the city of Chicago, and kudos to Mayor Brandon Johnson and Commissioner Stallard are doing. And this is a national conversation. More involvement for our youth provides better outcomes for our youth. It's not rocket science. So I give the mayor and his team the points they deserve in that space. And he gets criticized a lot, rightfully so. And I've thrown my bits of criticism or observations at the mayor. But here's the thing that I want to say about that. He campaigned on a lot of things. Some of the things he hasn't delivered on yet. We know that, and that he's working on. They're probably still on his whiteboard. But he's also made it clear that making sure that our youth have things to do, that they're employable, that they're learning, that, and to Commissioner's comment, not everybody's going to be proficient behind a keyboard. That's not their thing. They want to be out. They need to be out. But the mayor's administration has leaned into making sure or creating opportunities through programs that are going to put our children in a better place. That's a fact. That's not me being a supporter of the mayor or being a fan of the mayor. Those are just the facts. And sometimes you got to step back and look at it and go, what have they done? What have our leaders done? And I think in this space, they have accomplished that. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to keep our conversation going with another one of our leaders here in the state of Illinois. And we'll take a quick break. Number 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Choose Views
with Richard Chew
on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Great to have you guys with us this morning. And good to hear from the commissioner talking about our youth and what we want to be able to do to make sure that our youth are prospering and moving forward. And as I said so many times, they've got something to do. The more that's there, and of course we're talking about youth from, those that are in their mid-20s down to their teens. They've got something to do. If they haven't gone to college, if they're out of high school and they're looking, these are the things that make a city stronger. So I'm proud to see that that they're taking this on and that they've got programs that have some teeth to them. So kudos there. And as we continue to move forward and talk about how folks are leading the way and making sure that we are improving not only the city of Chicago and the immediate area, but also the state of Illinois and the greater, Midwestern region. We have some really wonderful people who have dedicated their lives to making sure that all of our populations are as healthy as they possibly can be. And leading in that charge and leading in that effort is a campaign director for Healthy Illinois. And that would be none other than Indy Almanord with us this morning. Good morning, Indy, and welcome to Choose Views.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. You sound bright and chipper this morning.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So if you were listening prior to your coming on, you heard Commissioner Stallard talk about the youth programs that the mayor of Chicago is putting in place and that the administration is leaning toward to make sure that our young folks have something to do, that they're active, that they're looking at how they can be more prosperous and a participant in our society. And I think when we talk about that impacts a part of their psyche that a lot of people don't talk about, and that's their health. That's their mental health. When they see that they've got something to do, they see that they're a part of the program or a part of the process, I should say, then they know that they're active and they are impactful. And you being someone that I will call, for lack of better words, more than just a campaign director, but also kind of a person that appreciates and understands the benefits of health for all of our communities, you've really leaned into that. And I know our listeners want to know a little bit more about Healthy Illinois and the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, of course. So the Healthy Illinois campaign is a statewide campaign coalition that's advocating for health care for every low-income Illinoisan, regardless of their immigration status. So right now, we are working on protecting an existing program called the Health Benefits for Immigrant Adults program. So this program is funded by the state of Illinois, and it provides health care coverage to about 33,000 adults in Illinois between the ages of 42 and 64 who are ineligible for federal health care programs like Medicaid. So this is a program that exists to save people's lives. These are individuals who are in our communities. They have families. A lot of them have U.S. citizen children that they've been raising here for decades. And so we are fighting to make sure that this program continues, fighting to make sure that these 33,000 individuals are able to continue having their health care coverage. And, yeah, that's what Healthy Illinois is all about, making sure that we are closing the health care coverage gap for people that are ineligible for other programs because of their immigration status.
So this is going to sound like well, I won't pre-label my question. It's one that I don't want to misstep in how I ask it, but what are the reasons why someone would not qualify or be eligible for the care that would put them in? So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so federal healthcare coverage programs like Medicaid, one of the eligibility guidelines is that you have to be a U.S. citizen or have a specific type of immigration status. But this excludes people who have immigration statuses or who are undocumented. And so these are individuals who really just because of that status, regardless of how much they've been working or regardless of the taxes that they've been paying at the state level or the federal level, are excluded from this program. So even though they're paying into the system that provides programs like Medicaid, they're not eligible to benefit from that system. And so this program covers that gap.
So politically, and I'm not going one way, partisan one way or the other. The conversation about the federal government is wasting all of its treasure and monies on paying for health care benefits for illegal immigrants. That would be a lie, right?
So our view is that healthcare is a human right, that everyone deserves healthcare. And again, these are people that have been in the country for sometimes even 30 years, who have been working, who have been paying taxes. Actually, in Illinois, immigrants pay about $8.6 billion in taxes every year. And again, a lot of people who pay into that system aren't able to benefit from the system. So, I mean, people are paying into the system and not being able to get the care that they need because of federal programs, just because of their immigration status. These are people that have been in our communities, that have been that are a part of what makes our communities strong, a part of what makes our state strong. And so this is an investment in their health care. This is an investment in our state and the health care and safety for everybody in our state. And so we definitely do not see it as a waste. This is something that benefits everyone by keeping them healthy.
Exactly. I was trying to think of the way I wanted to ask the question so that you'd be able to answer it. I didn't know what your answer would be, but I had a pretty good idea. And I appreciate you positioning it that way. So let's talk about the budget of your program and what that is, what the funding for that looks like.
Yeah, so for the Health Benefits for Immigrant Adults program, our estimate shows that it would cost about 0.5% of the state's total budget for health care to be able to fund this program. So a really, really small drop in the bucket to make sure that people who already have this coverage are able to keep it.
Wow, you said 0.5%?
0.5%.
Wow. What about age? I mean, what are the qualifiers in terms of age for being able to participate in the program?
Yeah, so for the Health Benefits for Immigrant Adults program specifically, the age eligibility is 42 to 64. So there's about 33,000 people in the state of Illinois right now who are currently in the program.
What's the number again? You said 30?
About 33,000.
About 33,000. And then the age, so really age is not, I don't know if the qualifier is the right word, but a consideration as part of the program, right? If I'm understanding it correctly.
So for HCIA, it's 42 to 64, and there's a similar program for seniors, the Health Benefits for Immigrant Seniors program, that provides health care coverage to low-income folks that are over the age of 65 who are ineligible for Medicaid. I will also note that these programs were both paused in 2023 for enrollment. So the people that are currently in the program are individuals who have been in the program really since then, since additional people have not been able to apply for the program. So another thing that the campaign looks forward to being able to continue fighting for is to be able to reopen those programs and to be able to expand them so that everybody so that we're able to cover the gap between 19 and 41 as well in the future. But yes, right now the Health Benefits for Immigrant Adults program that may be cut out of the budget for FY 2026 is for people aged 42 to 64.
Got it. So in terms of care, the types of care, what's included or excluded, if anything, in terms of the type of care that the program provides for?
Yeah, so the HCIA program provides preventative care, provides screenings, allows people to be able to afford their medication, and then also provides vision and dental. So pretty well-rounded care so that folks are able to be able to get health care for all of their needs. I think especially the preventative care and the screenings is something that has allowed people to be diagnosed with things like diabetes, but then also be able to get treatment for it so that they're able to manage their illness and to be able to continue living full lives.
It's so amazing that you said that, Indy, about that diagnosis and screening. So critically important for any and all of us when it comes to what we don't know is going on. And you probably see this from your experience in this space and why for anybody. I mean, that's a message that's for anybody, whether they're in a program like this or not. And speaking to that, and this is always something that I want to be able to cover when we talk to a guest about a local issue, if you will. Here in Illinois, this is a program that you're the campaign director for. But are there programs that you're aware of like this in other parts of the country or in other states throughout the country?
Yeah, so the closest example would be California. They have a similar program where they're able to fill that gap and be able to provide coverage for every low-income Californian regardless of status. I will admit I don't know all of the details of their program, but I know that theirs is the closest one to ours. I will say that Illinois was the first state in the country to create a program like this, so we've always been leaders in being able to expand coverage.
Once again, the state of Illinois, we catch so much hell from so many folks outside of the state of Illinois, but it shows once again that we're leading the way, and that's one of the reasons. And I knew where you were in that space, but I wanted you to be able to say it out loud to folks. Yeah, we are leading the way once again with one of our organizations that's here in the state of Illinois, but also it's a program. And it's an area that needs to be part of what other states are offering because, let's face it, the healthier of a population that we have and the reduction in gaps of medical coverage that we have, the better the society that we're going to have overall, which is why I was saying what I said earlier about the more our youth and our children have things to do and that are active, the better they're going to turn out. And the same thought process applies to Healthy Illinois campaign. What's your staff like? What are your support systems within the program like? What do you have in that space?
Yeah, so the Healthy Illinois campaign, again, is a coalition statewide. So we have about 80 organizations across the state. So these are grassroots organizations, policy institutions, faith leaders. We also have health centers and hospitals that are a part of our coalition. And so we all work together and we sort of use the different expertise that we all have to be able to advocate for the communities that we serve. And so it's a coalition-wide effort, and we also really depend on the stories of the individuals who have this healthcare, who need this healthcare, and we support them and we build them up as leaders to be able to tell their stories and to make sure that we are that everybody knows why this is so important. And so, definitely a team effort. It takes a lot of us, but we've been able to win before, and we're gonna be able to win again.
That's great to hear. What about any events that are coming up or things that people can be plugged into and be aware of in terms of things that you guys are doing to create additional awareness?
Yeah, so next week we'll be having a press conference just to, again, uplift the stories of the individuals that are directly impacted. If anybody wants more information about the work that we're doing or different actions and activities that we'll be up to, you can go to healthyillinoiscampaign.org. And so we'll continue to update that with just the different actions that we're taking a part of. Something that we do often is we go down to Springfield and we make sure that we're advocating before our General Assembly as well to make sure that they vote on a budget that includes a line item for health benefits for immigrants adults. And so, again, the best way to kind of know what we're up to will be to look on our website, follow us on social media as well, to make sure that you are able to participate in the advocacy that we're doing.
What about the positioning with the state legislators and business leaders? Where do they stand in terms of your effort and the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so we've got 2 months to make sure that that our state legislators vote to include funding for this program in the budget. And so over the next 2 months, we'll again be in Springfield a lot, making sure that we have as much support from our champions and the legislators, but as well as just other legislators to make sure that we are able to continue providing coverage to the individuals that benefit from this program. And Illinois has always been a leader in being able to expand coverage, and so we trust that our General Assembly will continue to show their commitment to immigrant communities and to healthcare and providing healthcare by protecting immigrant healthcare for next year.
Do you ever run into a situation where those that are part of the program may need help when it comes to legal services? And the reason I say that is we're talking about immigration or about immigration communities, and we know that the federal administration is trying to drop the hammer when it comes to ICE. What involvement do you have there, or is there involvement or support when it comes to legal services and or legal representation?
Yeah, so one of the great things about our coalition is that we have expertise from so many different perspectives and levels, and so a lot of the immigrant serving organizations that are a part of our coalition also do provide legal services, and so we really do rely on them to make sure that individuals that have this program, not only are we able to connect them with a healthcare benefit and advocate for that benefit, but we're also able to direct them to the right organization to be able to provide other services, such as legal services, to make sure that they have that as well.
That's great. And this all comes to the folks that are part of the program at no additional cost to them in the event that they do need those types of services?
Yeah, so in Illinois, there is a program, and a bit of a plug, but called Access to Justice that some of our colleagues in the coalition have fought for years for, that allows individuals to be able to have legal representation at no cost if they qualify. And so it's programs like that allow individuals to be able to access that as well. And again, it's a lot of the people in our coalition and a lot of the organizations in our coalition that have been leading the charge to make sure that option is available. And so yes, a lot of the individuals that we work with that are a part of this health benefits program are also able to access legal services for free.
That's pretty cool. I remember reading a while back about, I think you were part of this program called the Resurrection, do I have that right? Resurrection Project?
Yes, the Resurrection Project. Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, just the organization?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. So I'm not there anymore. I'm with Healthy Illinois, but I will say again that they also lead campaigns like the Access to Justice campaign to make sure that everyone has access to legal services. They are, I would say, one of the leaders in Illinois in making sure that immigrants are able to have access to legal services, access to different resources to make sure that they're able to live, again, full lives and be able to fully contribute to our communities. And so definitely look to them as leaders in this space. And they're also a very active part of the Healthy Illinois Coalition. And we continue to be partners. And I'm really thankful that they are such a big part of the work that we do.
That's fantastic to hear. So, and as we wrap up, let folks know how they can find you, how they can potentially get involved. I'm always an advocate and plugging how we can be working together and be more than just dotted lines to one another when it comes to some of the social issues. So let our listeners know how they can find you and how they can potentially get involved.
Yeah, of course. So again, you can visit our website, healthyillinoiscampaign.org, or follow us on Instagram. It's just Healthy Illinois. And especially on our Instagram and on our Facebook, you can see some of the stories that we're talking about today of people who depend on this healthcare. And so we encourage you to engage with us on social media as we're doing events, and we share information about those, to join us there. And then if we're able to, you might even be able to join us on a bus to Springfield in the future to advocate so that this program can continue.
That's fantastic. A bus to Springfield. Well, there's some folks that definitely want to participate in that. So, Andy, thanks again for being with us. We really appreciate you taking the time out and being able to share with us what your organization does and why it's so important to healthcare and health fitness for not only for all of our communities, but specifically immigrant communities that don't have access to some of those programs. So thanks for being with us this morning. We appreciate it. We wish you more success.
Thank you.
And we'll try to have you back in the future. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
All right. Thanks so much for being with us. Have a great day today.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, there you go. We've had a ball of a show this morning, and really great to have our two guests on this morning. Check out what the folks are doing at the Healthy Illinois campaign director, Indy Almanord. And she's definitely leading the charge to make sure that, folks who are working and paying taxes have access to some medical care and treatment. And what she said earlier about prevention or early diagnosis and screening is critically important. So we applaud her and the work that they are getting done. We won't take a break because we're coming close to the end of the show today, but I will say that with regard to the next couple of days, I highly encourage that you reach out and give our good friend who'll be sitting in for me, Michelle Peltier, give her a few calls. Let her know that you're sending her some love and that you appreciate that she's here and in the fight and in the battle, because Michelle's a good one, and she's definitely going to be looking to bring you guys all the information and the things that she's going to be reporting on and covering over the next couple of days. And speaking of that, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a rewind and recap of some of the things that we were talking about earlier. The Electoral College is a problem that has to be dealt with. And as I said during that call earlier, the Electoral College is not going to be fixed by just talking about it. It's only going to be fixed by changing who's in Congress. And if you understand how this plays out as it relates to the Constitution, we have to start there. So we can yell and scream about it all day long. We can talk about it all day long. But we have to take some action. And I think the action that has to be taken is how we deal with gerrymandering and voter suppression all over the country, but particularly in certain, frankly, red states or red districts in even blue states. We have to fix that we have to fix that as sort of the baseline platform to fix then the Electoral College itself, which means we have to have the control over the Senate and the House of Representatives. And to be honest with you, if you really understand constitutionally how this plays out, we have to take back more state legislatures to be able to fix the Electoral College. It's not just a snap of the finger, and I'm ticked off at the fact that we have it and it's wrong. We know that. But the real fix starts with putting people in offices that are going to be of the mindset that says we have to change it. The popular vote, if we did not have the Electoral College, Donald Trump would not have been elected in 2016. That's a fact, because Hillary Clinton outperformed him in the popular vote by some 3 million plus votes. And that's how our country should be. And the history of the Electoral College, and as it relates to post-enslavement and how we bore that out so that the southern states would stop whining about their population totals as it relates to voting, that's a big part of it. And that's why historically, and I understand when people will say to me, well, Richard, why don't you talk more about why, you should be all over the Electoral College and how it's racist and some may say even sexist. And I get that. And not but. The fix starts with changing state legislators, then changing House members on a federal level, and changing the Senate. And frankly, we need more senators. That was texted me, and I appreciate that. We need to have more U.S. senators. Let's look at fixing things with practical tools. Part of that, and D.C. statehood, and Puerto Rico. Those are things that are part of the conversation. We can't just yell, at the moon about fixing the Electoral College. We have to look at the systematic tools that we have to change. And the number one is to get those 69 million plus people off the couch and voting in these upcoming elections. Because when they vote, when we show up, to use the phrase, we win. Now, I understand people are out there and they're saying, yeah, but the system's gamed and this election was rigged, and that I understand all of that. And people still have to get out and vote. And when we do and we overrun the system that may be rigged or probably is rigged in some capacity, and certainly voter suppression is a big contributor to the rigging, then we fix that. We fix it not just in the short term, but in the long term, by having more people actively out voting and participating in the process. And some of that participation, guys, guess what? It's also known as, it's protesting. It's getting out like millions of Americans did this past weekend and will be doing this upcoming weekend and weekends in the future, to protest what's happening and to stay in the fight. And staying in the fight is going to be defined on how you define it. I can't tell a person how to fight. I can only be an advocate for those to fight. Going out to protest may not be your vibe right now. But as it was sent to me earlier in the week, or last week, I should say, and yesterday, It can mean that you become a person that does do it from home, that does hold your own sort of town halls, your own sort of meetings, your gatherings. It may be joining groups that are in your community. It could be all of that and then some. Let me tell you another way that fighting, I think people forget about as a way to fight. It's to learn more about the process, how our government actually works. Critically important to understand how our systems work. If we have a population, see, part of the problem, this is why, Donald Trump, as he says, likes the poorly educated. They don't know how the system really works and what the tools are that we have at our disposal to change it, to fix it. Then people are not going to be a participant. And when they don't get what they want, they're going to dog the system. So part of the way to fight, guys, is to know more about and to educate oneself on how things actually work in our political system on a local level, on a state level, on a federal level. That's where you've got the real power. And I'll leave you with this before I take off. Make sure to tune into Michelle tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. But also, get involved. Don't just yell from the rafters. Get out on the court. You're better off running around on the court than you are sitting in the bleachers. And I mean that. Get involved one way or the other. And I promise you I'll keep doing my part to help keep you involved and keep you inspired and keep you moving forward. But for now, all I ask is that you take a deep breath, make your life count. I'll see you next Monday.